in Glendale, Arizona. And here's what the head official, Carl Sheffers, had to say. He's a veteran ref. He's reffed in the Super Bowl. Had this to say about the defending holding call in the fourth quarter. Quote, the receiver went to the inside. He was attempting to release to the outside. The defender grabbed the jersey with his right hand, restricted him. That's the key word here, restricted. He restricted him from releasing to the outside, so therefore we called defensive holding, end quote. Let's get right to the site. Welcome in CBS Sports senior NFL reporter Josina Anderson. And Josina, you were inside the Eagles locker room. You spoke with James Bradberry. What did he have to say to you?
Well, first of all, just huge credit to James Bradberry. When you walked into the locker room, a lot of the Eagles were already walking out. Some of the corners and the DBs didn't even want to speak and indicated to the media that they didn't even want to talk. And James Bradberry had already let the Eagles PR know that he was going to talk. And so we all kind of gathered around his locker. And I just think with a lot of class and character, he just stood there without much emotion. And right away, he went into the admission and he said, you know what? I grabbed his jersey. I was hoping that they weren't going to call it, but it basically didn't go my way. And I was just like, wow. I mean, he didn't contest it. He didn't call it ticky-tack. He didn't say it was at the wrong moment or the wrong call at the wrong moment. And he just took it on the chest. And I thought what was even more admirable is that he continued to stay there and answer more questions, not just from the people who were immediately surrounding him, but from every single media member that came up and asked him something. And then you could hear the media in the locker room saying, wow, he's still standing there. He's still standing there. And so I had a chat with him once everybody walked away, and I just came up to him and I said, you know, I know that this stings, because he was saying that his usual process is to try to let things go on the Monday, and he's going to see if he can do that in this instance after Super Bowl. But I let him know that every media member noticed how he handled himself, and that is going to go a long way just in terms of the impression that he made. Yes, he would rather have the trophy, but still, he showed a lot of character in that moment.
Indeed, that's a classy move by James Bradberry. What else did the Eagles have to say in the locker room there as you were working the post-game scene?
Well, I saw Nick Sirianni come into the locker room, and he was just taking his time, dapping up the players, leaning into them, letting them know they had a hell of a season. It was going to be okay. I felt like you could see some emotion from his eyes. I had a brief chat with him right before he walked out and just, you know, let him know that, in my opinion, I thought he coached a hell of a season. And then some of the players, including TJ Edwards, let members of the media know that Brandon Graham was one of the players who spoke up after the game and just said to them, you know what? This is going to be okay. We're going to come back and try again. You know, this stings right now, but he was just offering encouraging words. And TJ Edwards said to me that for a player of Brandon Graham's stature, who I think is the longest tenured athlete in Philadelphia right now, to have those words in that moment meant a lot to him. And if you recall, when we covered the NFC Championship game, Brandon Graham's wife had said that he thought that it might be his last season with the Eagles. So Brandon Graham did not take questions in the locker room. He did go over to the podium. But before he left, I made sure I grabbed him and I said, is this going to be your last game with the Eagles? And he said that he would like to come back and he would like to run it back again. So I thought that that was very important, because the spirit that he offers to this team, the resilience that he showed coming back from that Achilles, he is an important cog to the tapestry and that locker room. And when these general managers begin to turn over the rosters year to year, they can incidentally just kind of remove the wrong Jenga piece that can just upset the whole chemistry in the locker room. And it would be crucial, if they do decide to run it back, to make sure that they do indeed have Brandon Graham in the locker room.
Yeah, indeed. Brandon Graham, a critical piece to that defense for Philadelphia all season long as the #1 seed in the NFC. Look, you were there. You watched this game play out. First of all, what was it like to watch it play out? What's your takeaway from Super Bowl 57?
Well, just the sheer back and forth after many of the media members here at Super Bowl 57 experienced the NFC Championship and how that just unraveled within seconds of being there. I think first and foremost, it was just nice to have a competitive game. And you could see right away, because people were wondering, how was Jalen Hurts going to handle the moment? Was he going to be nervous? Was he going to be hesitant to run just because of, the shoulder and wanting to avoid contact? But to me, I felt like you saw the Jordan Air from Jalen Hurts right away. When he had that touch pass in the corner left side on the flank in the first series, I saw that the touch was there. That was important to showing me that the nerves were not there, and he continued to show that. And despite the fact that he had the fumble after they were up 14-7, that he could come back in the next series. And I thought it was brilliant by Nick Sirianni that the first call in that series was a run. And it was a 14-yard run after he just fumbled it, trying to switch it from one hand to the next to show that he had the same confidence with that play call. And even players in the locker room just now spoke of that play and how it continued to exemplify what he's meant to them as a leader. Watch me by example of how I handle adversity, things not going my way. It didn't shut me off. So I thought that that was really important. And then just the sheer amount of greatness back and forth for it to be tied 35-all, towards the end of the game. That's what you're asking for in a Super Bowl championship. It's just the disappointment, though it was the right call. And you see how detailed Carl Schaefer's was in terms of explaining that holding call. Though it was the right call, it's just disappointing for it to come down to the officiating that, remember, Roger Goodell said that it's been at its best, or he's never seen it better, or whatever he said during his press conference, in that moment. Didn't want to see it come down to the stripes.
Well, great perspective, Josina. We appreciate you working hard there, getting the answers we wanted to hear as James Bradbury admits that it was holding. And, hey, man, they got to take this one on the chin because this is a disappointing end for the Philadelphia Eagles. But we appreciate the coverage that you've done for us here on HQ throughout the season. Appreciate it. Safe travels back home, Josina. Man, close but no cigar. Jalen Hurts was awesome in this game. 3 rushing touchdowns. First quarterback with 3 rushing touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Look, he's gonna come back from this. Alabama pedigree, Oklahoma pedigree. He's been through it. Jalen Hurts, I think he solidified that he is the quarterback of the future in Philadelphia. They had questions coming in this season. This is your guy. He gave everything he had in this game, but they unfortunately come up short in Super Bowl 57.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.